Oh, please do the chamber announcement, emergency announcement.
Upon activation of the emergency alarm signal, all persons should immediately exit the building. Please use exits to the left, right, or further council chamber or the east or west stairwells outside the rear doors of the chamber. Do not use elevators or escalators. After exiting the building, security will direct everyone down Ninth Street to the assembly area located inside the former public safety building parking lot. Able persons to assist visually and hearing impaired visitors with exiting the building. Persons wishing to speak during the public comment period or public hearings are generally allowed 3 minutes to speak. Persons appearing before the committee are not allowed to campaign for public office, promote private business ventures, use language of a personal nature which assaults or demeans any person, including comments directed at public officials or staff members that are not related to their official duties, or address the question staff members directly. All questions should be directed to the committee chair. Fair to adhere to the guidelines may result in speakers forfeiting any minute time and further disciplinary action as necessary, which can include barring from attendance at future meetings of the committee for a period of 6 months. Members of the public who register in advance to speak virtually will be called at the appropriate time, either during the public comment period or during the public hearing for the legislation on which they sign up to address. Madam Chair, this concludes the announcement.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Can we move forward with the public comment period?
Is there anyone here present that would like to speak about items not on today's agenda? Seeing none, the public comment period is now closed.
All right, Madam Clerk, can we take care of the minutes?
There are no minutes to approve for this meeting.
Okay, thank you. So we're gonna do some shifting. We are going to start with the papers, and then we'll do board vacancies, and then we'll do the papers with the exception of number 7, which we would like to continue.
Okay. Is Ms. Nichols present for the board vacancy packet? Is she aware that you was gonna?
We told her we was moving it up, but if she's not in, we can just go ahead with the papers for now, and then she can come after.
Okay, so I'll
Yep.
proceed with item. Did you want to proceed with the continuance of item number 7?
Yes.
All right. Do we have a motion and do we have a date that you would like to continue this paper to? 30, 60, or 90 days?
Next meeting.
Okay.
Mhm.
Do we have a motion and a second?
Second.
The committee is voting on the motion to continue item 7, resolution 2026 R003 to the February 17th, 2026 Land Use, Housing, and Transportation Standing Committee meeting. Mr. Britton?
No.
Vice Chair Robertson? Chair Jones?
Aye.
That motion has been approved.
Okay, thank you. I see Ms. Nichols coming now.
Good afternoon, Chair Jones, Vice Chair Robertson, Mr. Breton, Pamela Nichols, Council Management Analyst. The vacancy report before you captures current and projected vacancies through May of this year. And diving right into the report, for the Affordable Housing Trust Fund Supervisory Board, for a person licensed by the Virginia Real Estate Board, we have a reappointment application from Colby K.
Full member, I would.
Thank you. They're moving down to the Commission of Architectural Review. On October 21st of last year, the committee made a recommendation based on input from the CAR secretary. Subsequent to that, prior to council's appointment, there was a request to refer all applications back to this committee for consideration. Since that time, we have not received any input. So would it be the will of this body to continue those applications again until the next quarter, or to make a recommendation today?
We continue. You
Okay.
cool with that?
Thank you. And then for the Richmond Redevelopment and Housing Authority, 1 vacancy, and we have a reappointment application from Eddie Jackson Jr. and the initial application from Chelsea Head Wise and Brittany Watson.
We support Mr. Jackson. He's the current chair of the board, so.
Yes, that is correct.
Mhm.
Thank you, ma'am. And then turning over to the Safe and Healthy Streets Commission, there's one vacancy, and we have a reappointment application from Tara Fitzpatrick. And then we have additional application, one from Kenneth Hall, Lacey Hancher, and Reed Shoemaker.
The committee supports Tara Fitzpatrick.
And then lastly, for the Urban Design Committee, a reappointment application from Timothy Hamnick.
The committee supports Mr. Hammond as well.
Right.
Do we have a motion and a second?
I move we accept the slate we just spoke to.
The committee is voting to forward the board recommendations to council as stated. Mr. Breton,
Aye.
Vice Chair Robinson, Chair Jones.
Aye.
That motion has been approved.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Nichols. All right, we'll move forward with the papers. So, Madam Clerk, item number 1.
Item 1, ordinance 2025-278, to execute a lease agreement between the city as landlord and Virginia Community Voice as tenant for the purpose of leasing certain real property located at 2015 Ruffin Road. That paper's before the committee.
Good afternoon, Chris Frelke, Director of Parks, Recreation, and Community Facilities. Hope you guys are all doing well. We are supportive of this paper, and the potential tenant is here in the gallery today if there's any additional questions. But as you are probably all aware, we built the brand new T.B. Smith Community Center and opened it this year. And so that became availability for the existing facility to potentially see if there was a partner to activate that space. We have a lot of programming that we've been working with this particular partner. We have a good history with them. They also have been doing a lot in that community and on the south side to help do a lot of improvements to our park system. So it's a 1-year lease with the option for an additional. So we are supportive of this paper.
Thank you, Mr. Frelke. I almost didn't recognize you. Madam Clerk, can we hold a public comment for this paper?
Is there anyone here present that would like to speak in support of item 1? Please state your name for the record.
Leah Whitehurst Gibson. I'm the executive director for Virginia Community Voice, and would forgive the hoarseness of my voice. My child is in school, so I'm getting all over the germs. But yeah, we've been working on the south side of Richmond since 2017, doing work in the 6th, 8th, 9th, and 5th districts. We've been doing a lot of work across and invested a lot of money in the park system, and been great partners in Parks and Recreation. And we would love to lease this building and invest in it and put some love into it, so that it can be a resource for the community and build some healing justice work as well in that space. So thank you all so much for considering this motion.
Thank you, Ms. Gibson.
Is there anyone that would like to speak in opposition of item 1? Seeing none, the public hearing is now closed. Bring it back to the committee.
Second.
The committee is voting on the motion to forward item 1, ordinance 2025-278 to council with a recommendation to approve. Mr. Breton,
Aye.
Vice Chair Robinson, Chair Jones.
Aye.
That motion has been approved.
All right, Madam Clerk, number 2.
Item 2, ordinance 2025-279 to execute a master agreement for use of Commonwealth transportation funds between the city and the Virginia Department of Rail and Public Transportation for utilizing grant proceeds from the Virginia Department of Rail and Public Transportation. That paper is for the committee.
Anyone here from the administration to speak to this paper?
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Adam Holt, Policy Advisor with the City Administration. If it pleases the committee, I believe we're just working on representation to be able to come and speak to that. We might be able to circle back around a little bit later on the the docket?
Absolutely, we can keep moving.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, Madam Clerk, number 3.
Item 3, ordinance 2025-280 to execute a grant agreement under the FY 24 Safe Streets and Roads for All grant program between the city and the U.S. Department of Transportation for the purpose of funding the implementation of Vision Zero Safety Program activities. That paper is before the committee.
Anyone from the administration? Hey, Cara.
Good afternoon, Chair Jones and council members of the Land Use Committee. I'm M. Kara from Department of Public Works. This ordinance authorizes CAO to execute city and US DOT agreement for safe streets and roads for all. This is a grant program that city applied back in 2024, the round 3 of Safe Street for All. The funding was approved in November 2024, so we received the grant agreement last year, and now we are moving forward in execution of this agreement. The approved grant is for the supplemental planning activities. They are related to Vision Zero and Complete Street, and this is to provide a critical transportation safety improvement on high injury network. When we submitted this application, there were 5 planning activities we proposed. One was post-crash action plan, and second, pedestrian safety master plan development. Third, roadway safety assessments on HIN corridors. Fourth, speed management outreach, and fifth one is health in transportation, especially for substance use and mental health assessment in that area. So those are the 5 categories. The approved grant is about $1.25 million total. That requires 80% of the funding, $1 million coming from federal funds, and 20% city match will be coming from CVT or local funds that we gonna assign $125,000 from FY26 and $125,000 FY27 each. The planning activities will start in summer of this year, and we will conclude in 2028. Just for your information that since this Safe Street and Roads for All grant program started, we had round 1, round 2, and this is round 3. And City of Richmond is only one of the few localities they are successful on all 3 grant approval. So we will continue to approach on safety improvements in City of Richmond streets. Be happy to answer any question.
We'll have to do a public comment first, and then we'll come back to you if you have any questions. Madam Clerk.
Is there anyone that would like to speak in support of item 3? Is there anyone that would like to speak in opposition of item 3? Seeing none, the public hearing is now closed. Bring it back to the committee.
Colleagues.
Okay, I just want to make sure I understand. So this funding is specifically related to planning activity, not any infrastructure, not any construction. This is all related to like funding to fund analyses, post-crash analyses, and other types of safety-related planning activities. Is that right?
Yes, sir. The round 1, then when we received back in 2022, that was planning activities, but round 2, when we received $13 million, those were implementation, the projects. So this is continuing back again for another additional planning activities for round 3. So this is just a planning activity.
Okay, and we're putting up a 20% match to unlock $1 million of state or federal funds.
Yes, sir. $1 million federal funds, 250,000 city match coming from CBTA local.
All right, well, I move that we approve or motion to forward with a recommendation to approval.
The committee is voting on the motion to forward item 3, ordinance 2025-280 to council with the recommendation to approve. Mr. Burton.
Aye.
Vice Chair Robertson. Chair Jones.
Aye.
That motion has been approved.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Would you like me to proceed?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Item 4, ordinance 2026-002, to execute a standard project administration agreement between the city and VDOT to provide funding for the Gillies Creek Greenway Phase 5 project.
And you again, Mr. Carr?
Good afternoon, Chair Jones and members of the committee. This is M. Khera from Department of Public Works. This ordinance authorizes CAO to execute city and VDOT agreement for Gillies Creek Greenway Phase 4. The Greenway Phase 4 will install 0.45 miles of 10 feet wide asphalt shared use path from Jenny Share Road to East Richmond Road. The project will improve pedestrian and bike safety, operation, and connectivity in the east end of City of Richmond. The total funding approved for the project is $1.5 million. That's coming from Congestion Mitigation and Air Quality TPO grant, and this is 100% reimbursable, no city match required. And project design will start sometime later this year, and then complete in 27. We're gonna implement this project in 28. So the funding is in line with that. Just giving you additional information, Gillies Creek Greenway starts from Virginia Capitol Trail, or Call River, and it ends at East Richmond Road. So it has 4 phases. Phase 1 from Virginia Capitol Trail to Williamsburg Road, that's about $5.4 million. We approached and received smart scale federal funding, 100% reimbursable. That project is under design. Phase 2 from Williamsburg to Government Road, and Phase 3 from Government Road to Jenny Share Road. They both have been completed with the $2 million and about 1 mile of greenways. So this is the last remaining section that's being funded now for $1.5 million. With this, we will have a greenway about 1.8 mile that spending $8.8 million, most for the funding from other sources. So this is a huge success for City of Richmond. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Madam Clerk, let's do the public comment.
Is there anyone here that would like to speak in support of item 4? Is there anyone that would like to speak in opposition of item 4? Seeing none, the public hearing is now closed. Bring it back to the committee.
Motion to approve.
The committee is voting on the motion to forward item 4, ordinance 2026-002, to council with a recommendation to approve. Mr. Burton?
Aye.
Vice Chair Robertson? Chair Jones?
Aye.
That motion has been approved.
All right, paper number 5. Y'all, DPW is all up in here today. Okay.
Item 5, resolution 2026-R002, to request that VDOT amend the street mileage inventory for the city. That paper is for the committee.
Again, Chair Jones and members of the committee, this is M. Khera from Public Works. And this resolution will request Virginia Department of Transportation to amend city's street maintenance mileage inventory. VDOT is responsible to keep track of street maintenance inventory throughout the Commonwealth. In the City of Richmond, we maintain our own street system, but we are required to update VDOT annual basis for any change in our inventory, for any addition, deletion, and any changes, so they can keep statewide inventory updated. And a council resolution is required before they accept that change in inventory from us. VDOT uses, we call it urban maintenance system, also called UMIS, to keep track of statewide every locality's inventory, and which is based on, we call it moving lane mile, MLM. Moving lane mile is the number of lanes public can travel at peak hours, at any peak hours, which does not include parking lane, does not include turning lane, and this is not based on center lane miles, but on number of lanes they are open to the traffic on any particular street. At this time, based on the current UMIS system, we have 1,838.21 moving lane miles, and we are compensated by state in two categories. Arterial roads are compensated $30,023 per moving lane mile, and the collector and local street are compensated $17,627 per moving lane mile. As it is required to update every year for any change of our inventory by resolution, in 2025, we added about 1.23 moving lane mile in local street. The governor's retreat added 0.6 moving lane mile, and Creighton Court added 0.62 moving lane mile. With that, our new inventory will be 1,839.44 moving lane mile. The annual payment for this 1.23 moving lane mile will be increased by $21,681 based on FY26 payment. But and this change will be effective July 1, 2026. By that time, we will have a new payment from General Assembly and VDOT approved for us, so that 21,681 may increase based on the increase we receive in our maintenance miles. Be happy to answer any question.
Madam Clerk, let's do the public hearing.
Is there anyone that would like to speak in support of item 5? Is there anyone that would like to speak in opposition of item 5? Seeing none, the public hearing is now closed. Bring it back to the committee.
Yeah, one question. Thank you for the presentation. It's always good seeing you, Mr. Carr.
Thank you.
The request to the Virginia Department of Transportation amends mileage as they record it, right?
Yes.
But it does not change any funding as it relates, city still obligated for the costs of the maintenance.
It will increase because in this situation, we are increasing number of lanes, moving lane mile in local street category. So that will provide $21,681 more than what we received today. But this will be effective July 1st. So there will be additional funds.
Thank you.
Yeah, so this looks to me like a pretty minor change to our total mileage. It's very small, and amounting to a pretty small difference in the amount of money we have coming into the city. So I don't really have any of. Anyway, so yeah, but it makes me wonder though, are there other changes? Like, is this a whole year's worth of changes? And is this the only change, or will I see 4 months from now like another edit that says, oh, also we turned 10 miles into bike lanes or parking lanes, and so we update it again. How many other updates like this are coming per year? Because this seems like a very, very minor amount.
They only take once in a year. So any changes in 2026, because we captured every change in 2025, I would say calendar year 2025. So calendar year 2026, we're going to capture, and by the month of December, when we know the details, in January, you're going to expect another council resolution in 2027. We did the same thing last year. You approved sometime in January last year, 2025. So this year, and we're going to keep staying on top of our inventory throughout.
All right, and we do this every year, regardless of whether it's an increase or a decrease, just because we have to, not because we're trying to get $21,000, right?
Exactly. And we still want to have a $21,000 more. We don't want to lose that.
Thanks. Motion to approve.
The committee is voting on the motion to forward item 5, resolution 2026 R002 to council with a recommendation to approve. Mr. Burton,
Aye.
Vice Chair Robertson, Chair Jones.
Aye.
That motion has been approved.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We'll do number 6.
Item 6, ordinance 2025-281, to execute a lease agreement between the city as landlord and Bakery RVA LLC as tenant for the purpose of overflow parking and creating a designated area for rideshare drop-off and pickup at 212 North 18th Street. That paper is before the committee.
Good afternoon. I'm Sybil Elamine with the Richmond Police Department. I'm the Deputy Chief of Support Services. I'm here to discuss the lease agreement that we are requesting you to approve for bakery tenants. Last year, if you remember, the mayor had a series of public conversations about Shockoe Bottom. In one of those conversations, the bakery asked if they could use the parking at the Sandlot. The location is 212 North 18th Street. If they would be able to use that for overflow parking. We agreed. We didn't see a real issue with using that. We use that space currently as a staging area for our officers, but we can shift locations. It's my understanding that the lease will allow short-term parking for bakery residents. It will also open it for optional open parking on the weekends. The purpose is to create a safe designated space for people to park when they visit the bottom. They received feedback from constituents saying that there was a safety concern and they wanted more lighted parking in the area. This addresses that. The lease is between a year and 18 months. Again, it's temporary, and they would not receive any special preference when the lease goes out for permanent sale. I'll take any questions you might have.
We'll hold a public hearing first, and then
Oh,
we'll call
I'm
you
sorry.
back if we need one. That's okay. Madam Clerk?
Is there anyone here that would like to speak in support of item 6? Is there anyone here that would like to speak in opposition of item 6? Seeing none, the public hearing is now closed. Bring it back to the committee.
Colleagues?
What is the dollar amount of this lease? I think I heard it's a $0 lease. Is that true?
I believe there's a $5,000 deposit.
Okay. And of course, we are agreeing to that, I guess, a low amount because we believe it's a public safety benefit to the city, and also because it's temporary, until we actually use this property for other goals that we have later.
Yes,
on.
sir. Nothing permanent is supposed to be built there, and whatever they place there, they're supposed to take when they leave.
Thank you.
Do we have a motion? Let 'em-
Yes, motion to move forward the recommendation for approval.
Second.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The committee is voting on the motion to forward item 6, ordinance 2025-281 to council with a recommendation to approve. Mr. Breton,
Aye.
Vice Chair Robertson,
Aye.
Chair Jones.
Aye.
That motion has been approved.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
There,
What was you gonna say? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, did you want to go back to item 2?
Yes.
Okay.
Good afternoon again, Madam Chair, members of the committee, Adam Hole. I believe in addition to our contingency of Public Works staff here, Ms. Geronimo Clark has got her hand raised and is willing to introduce this piece of legislation. Thank you.
Ms. Clark, you should be able to unmute and provide your comments to the committee.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Madam Chair and Chair, committee members, I do apologize for my absence and do hope that there will be fair consideration of this paper. Diana Moore Clark here, Deputy Director, Department of Public Works. Before you, we are asking for the signature of the Department of Rail and Public Transportation Master Agreement. This agreement establishes the overarching legal framework, terms, and conditions for grantees to receive and use state, federal transit, and commuter funds. This master agreement does allow for a streamlining of future projects in the future, and it ensures that we meet the financial compliance, reporting, and project execution. For each of the projects that will be under the master agreement, they all have specific projects agreements if there's any specific funding that we should receive. Again, it standardizes the terms, it talks about how we access the funds, and it really defines the responsibilities between the City of Richmond and the Department of Rail and Public Transportation. Again, this document allows that we can assure accountability and efficiency in spending Commonwealth transportation funds. Thank you.
Madam Clerk, can we do a public hearing on this paper?
Is there anyone here that would like to speak in support of item 2? Is there anyone here that would like to speak in opposition of item 2? Seeing none, the public hearing is now closed. Bring it back to the committee.
Questions, colleagues?
I'd like to know if this agreement is a change from a previous agreement, or are we creating a new agreement for the first time?
Yes, sir. Thank you. These agreements, and I'm trying to get that for you, I think they go on a 3-year period for the master agreement. So the master agreement doesn't have to be signed every year, but again, it's signed, and then subsequent project agreements are signed for specific projects. Specifically upcoming for us, we have a railroad crossing elimination grant that we received dollars from DRPT, and this agreement is going to help us to make that project agreement. But again, this is something that they require. It's fairly new, but they've been doing it about 5 years, so not too new.
And can you also help me understand the types of projects that we support through this agreement?
Yeah, thank you. As you know, we do have a newly formed DOT out of DPW, and that's really making the grant strategy. A lot of that is going to be focused on that, but it's really for grants specific for the City of Richmond outside of GRTC. So it really is an optional grant pathway for us that not all localities in the region are allotted. So it's really a good thing for us to have that direct access to that. But again, there could be transit grants specific to ETI. There could be strategies, again, we've looked at with some of the recent, safety. Is there additional, red lanes or bus transit dedicated lanes that really can be supported with some of those dollars? And so it really depends on what strategy the new department comes up with to see what types of grants we submit.
Okay, got it. So we're setting up the relationship to receive more grants from this body. They're related to rail and public transportation. And actually, was so did we already have some type of relationship with them for the past few years, and we're just renewing it, or we didn't need a master agreement? We were just doing one-offs, and now we're creating a framework.
Yeah, no, we've had a master agreement before, but it did conclude, because I think the last time that we used it was for interns the most recently, and then I did note prior to that we were using it for the red lanes. So again, it's really an optional path for the DOT to have, and again, it would be advantageous for us to sign the agreement. And again, like I said, I was trying to get the life term, but I do think it's to be done every 3 years.
Okay, great. Yeah, an opportunity for another grant path sounds fantastic. So sounds like a good plan. I move that we approve it.
Second.
The committee is voting on the motion to forward item 2, ordinance 2025-279 to council with a recommendation to approve. Mr. Breton.
Aye.
Vice
Aye.
Chair Robertson.
Aye.
Chair Jones.
Aye.
That motion has been approved.
All right, we might as well keep it rolling with Public Works. We have a presentation by Mr. Vincent. And then after Mr. Vincent, we'll hear Maggie Walker, Community Land Trust.
Good afternoon, everyone. Bobby Vincent, Director of Public Works, City of Richmond. It's good to see you all this afternoon. Here to give you a brief overview of some changes and some upgrades and improvements within the Department of Public Works, featuring the Department of Transportation. As you can see, our mission is still to provide a clean, safe, and healthy environment. This right here is the org chart for the Department of Public Works, where we have 3 major components dealing with engineering operations as well as planning. We have Mambupinda Kara, who is our city engineer and deputy director in charge of capital improvement projects, bridge maintenance, right-of-way, surveys, and GIS management. We have the deputy director of operations and maintenance, Mr. Torrance Robinson, you all are very familiar with, in charge of roadway maintenance, solid waste management, street cleaning, street lights, grounds maintenance, and urban forestry. And in replacing the former aspects of general services within the department, where we had a deputy director in charge of our finance and our operationals in terms of personnel. We've split those responsibilities between 2 of our existing employees, Ms. Melanie Alexander, as well as Ms. Crystal Barnes, accordingly. The new Department of Transportation, Mr. Andy Baino, is now responsible for transportation planning, transportation engineering, community engagement, plan review, one-stop shop, Main Street Station, as well as paving, signs, and signals. So taking a look at the breakdown of that department itself, in terms of names and other areas of familiarity that you all may have, transportation planning with regards to Mr. Daniel Wagner, looking at LQC, grants, funding, strategies, bike share, etc. Transportation engineering, Mike Sawyer, multimodal engineering, signs, signals, markings, and paving. Community engagement, which is currently vacant, but we will be working with Mr. Ross Cattrall and his team in terms of helping to fill that void, in terms of transportation storytelling, project support, speakers academy, etc. And then last but not least, someone you all are very familiar with, Mr. Rona Moore Clark, continuing to be the spearhead for Main Street Station, as well as our new one-stop shop alignment with PDR, as well as continuing with the rail and port authority coordination efforts. Looking at the areas of component that we've been working with regards to planning, engineering, and operations, the top line is kind of all about planning. The middle line is kind of all about engineering, and the bottom line is kind of all about operations. Now, why is it important for those links to be coordinated together? Is because right now we have about $1.2 billion coming our way in terms of the Department of Public Works, where we utilize a combination of funding sources in terms of state maintenance, as Mr. Kara just spoke of, with regards to the monies that we're paid for by the state to maintain the public right-of-way, most of which goes towards Mr. Torrance Robinson. We have CVTA local funds being managed primarily through our CVTA with regards to sidewalks, et cetera, and paving. Also, we have CVTA regional projects that winds up gaining projects on an annual basis. Right now, we have a backlog of about $105 million there, with more dollars hopefully to come in our future projects submittals, federal and state dollars, GEO bonds, as well as VDOT work, et cetera. Looking at how and what that money takes care of. I wanted you all to just to see this. This right here is an example of a major thoroughfare that is rural. As you can see, not a whole lot going on except for some asphalt. Now, let me see if I can make this thing do something. I promise you it's a nice, really cute slide. Oh, yeah, the layer's not going to work. Oh, well. Oh, well. Trust me. I think most of you all have seen it anyway, where in the city of Richmond, we have pretty much every detail in terms of utilities, sidewalks, trees, going within our public right of way, as well as gas, water, high voltage, as well as low voltage communications, stormwater, and sewer lines going underneath our streets, which is why it's so important to make certain that we can remain coordinated with departments like our sister agency of Department of Public Utilities, as well as agencies such as VDOT, et cetera. Looking at what we're responsible for, 62 and a half square miles, obviously, and we have now about 1.3 million people within the area of the Richmond metropolitan area. We have almost 880 miles of sidewalks, over 200 miles of alleys. We have 82 miles of bike lanes, and now we're up to 415 speed tables, with obviously more to come. Looking at what this department is really focused in on, Vision Zero, and a lot of people don't understand Vision Zero. So we've been trying to do it from an education, enforcement, and engineering perspective with regards to traffic calming and traffic safety. The traditional approach has been accidents are inevitable, traffic deaths are inevitable. Perfect human behavior is something that's never going to take place. Prevention of collisions, individual responsibility, and saving lives can be very expensive. We've seen where this can happen in other areas of our world, as well as in other areas of our country, inclusive of Richmond, where traffic deaths are preventable. We're looking at integrating human failure in our approach to safety, trying to prevent fatal and severe crashes, taking a systems and systematic approach, and saving lives is not expensive. Every time we install a speed table, we're down now to about $8,000 per speed table. When we first started off, it was about $15,000. So we found a more efficient way to be able to do that in conjunction with our paving program. So we have to ask ourselves, is Vision Zero realistic? The answer to that is yes. And looking at Vision Zero, which I think a lot of people thought that it was just something that we made up in Richmond. No, this is something that took place back in 1997 in Sweden. And it kind of hit the world, and it took off worldwide with the European Union, North America in terms of United States, Canada, and Mexico, throughout Australia, as well as Asia. And you can see many of the other Vision Zero campaigns, as you are familiar with ours in the top right-hand corner. You can see the campaigns that's also located throughout the country as well as throughout the world. With that being said and done, I did want to introduce to you all a very highly qualified person that came to us, highly recommended. And we were blessed to be able to get him, because just about any city in the United States of America, as I travel throughout the country going to conferences, particularly NACTO conferences, which is all about urban environment and urban transportation. And they highly recommended the individual that we have, as well as those that we currently have on board that used to be underneath Mr. Carroll, that's now underneath this gentleman, inclusive of individuals like Mike Sawyer, as well as Enrique Burgos, who've been winning awards nationwide. And that individual is Mr. Andy Baino, our new Director of Transportation.
Thank you. Good to see you all, Madam Chair and members of the committee. I just wanted to share, instead of re-giving Bobby's fantastic presentation, two things probably that are going to be most notable from the outside world, because something on just about anybody's mind is going to be, if you already have a transportation team, what's different now about a Department of Transportation? And two things that have to do, I mean, you saw the breakdown of all the ways that all these services are integrated: planning, engineering, engagement, operations. By formalizing the internal relationship, the two things that you'll be able to see the most is lighter, quicker, cheaper programs, or quick build, or tactical urbanism. Our terminology is lighter, quicker, cheaper. By integrating, we're going to be able to incredibly increase the number of those types of projects, and not just for the sake of increasing the number. They're going to be aligned much better with our Vision Zero approach. Having internal resources, I don't have to tell you all, everybody's concerned about resources, both staff and financial resources. And so having this all together to be able to, within one team, plan, implement, and then test, and then repeat, we've got an exciting future ahead for lighter, quicker, cheaper. And then the other thing that's going to be very noticeable on the outside is a dedicated engagement team. And you know this is important because transportation, I mean, I'm going to be biased by saying this, but it's also true that transportation impacts all of our lives every day, whether we're working in transportation or not. I mean, just even if you just drive everywhere from garage to garage, you walk to your car at some point, you're going to get groceries during the week. So how you move around through space is vital. And there are so many stories to be told, not just about the work that's going on, but issues around how we behave, how we move through space. We want everyone to get home alive. We want people of all ages and abilities to be able to move easily through space by whichever mode they choose. And so both old school type of engagement where we're meeting low key with neighbors where there's not a specific project in mind, but it's just getting to know people and helping them understand what it is we do. But then also as major projects come along, having very specific engagement programs attached to those major projects. So those are probably the two most visible changes and coincidentally the most exciting changes, I think. So.
Well, thank you very much. And I guess we are not saying welcome, just get ready. And we appreciate it. We appreciate your presentation, Mr. Benson. I know my colleagues have questions. I just have a quick question. You named it as a department, but we know that in order for a department to be established, it has to go through council. So can you just, for the people, clarify, is it a department or is it a new division?
It's a department within the Department of Public Works. So very similar to the way that we took it from a strategic approach is just like what we have with regards to public utilities, with regards to gas. So as a senior director, like we have in public utilities, we have the same thing within the Department of Public Works. Therefore, you can have that Department of Transportation reporting to the Department of Public Works. And so it doesn't interfere with our code issues or anything of that nature with regards to the way that we've been receiving funding from the state as well as the federal levels, and that funding can be spread across the board with regards to various operations as well as engineering and planning divisions.
All right, I'm gonna be looking for those lighter, cheaper, quicker. I'll call you. But I had one other question. Oh, so can you just share a little bit about when you broke out the new department and then you named Miss Moore Clark and she was deputy director of what division prior to this?
Ms. Moore Clark is still the deputy director within the Department of Public Works underneath the Office of Equitable Transit and Mobility. So the Office of Equitable Transit and Mobility has kind of been divided up, just like what we had different sections underneath Mr. Kara and underneath Mr. Sawyer. So some of those areas have also been broken up in order to be able for us to focus more so on the funding and individual aspects of those programs, and also to give Mr. Baino the opportunity to focus in on those areas that are directly related to transportation. One thing that I would like to say about Mr. Baino as well, and he's not going to toot his own horn about this, but he rides a bike every day to work. Every day. He lives in the fan. And me, since moving into the city of Richmond 9 years ago and actually living within the city of Richmond, you get to see things a little bit differently when you live in the city and you have to drive down the streets and you have to cross the sidewalks and or walk the sidewalks and or your kids are going to the schools. So with Mr. Baino being in that position, I think it's going to also offer us some additional expertise with regards to neighborhood feel and community feel of our city.
Okay, and as you see, I have a quick question for you. So this all,
Thank you, Steve.
yes. So this all started with the announcement of the mayor in relative to pedestrian deaths. But little of this department, and I know we asked just for a quick overview, but little of this presentation speaks to prevention, intervention. It really is more of like a flow chart and what's happening. So the question is, how does this prevent, or what are you doing to continue to prevent deaths?
We're educating, we're re-engineering projects, and we're enforcing. It's very difficult for any agency to prevent deaths. Just like our police department, it's very difficult for them to prevent murders. But their responsibility is to go out and find those that are committing those crimes, to learn from those crimes, and to do their best to put preventive measures in place. It's the same thing with regards to traffic. If somebody decides to go out here and drink themselves to a pulse and then go out here and drive behind a wheel, there's nothing really much that the Department of Public Works or Department of Transportation can do to stop them. But as long as we continue to work with the enforcement agencies and to educate people about not drinking and driving, situations or newly formed things such as Uber and all of the commercials that we're working on to help educate the public are some of the preventive measures that we will be able to do in order to slow people down. So it's very difficult to quantify when what we do save lives, even though we know that we do.
Thank you.
You're more than welcome.
Can you help explain the difference between transportation engineering and everything that falls under the city engineering capital improvement bucket, and why the distinction exists?
Certainly. So the distinction exists because we receive funding from the federal government to do certain projects. Those projects that Mr. Carroll are responsible for, they range anywhere from $100,000 up to $30 million with regards to taking care of a 8-block or 4-block segment of street. They do that, and the project can take anywhere from a month up to 2 years to complete. The work that transportation planning and that Mr. Boehner will be responsible for are projects such as upgrading our intersections, things that we've already been doing. But we now have more money, so it's more of those projects to take place. So we have all the way up to about 80 projects that's going to be taking place with regards to upgrading signals, replacing signal poles that have in fact been failing, as well as to replace striping, put in speed tables in conjunction with the paving program, everything that winds up taking place within the public right-of-way from a traffic standpoint, not just from a right-of-way standpoint. And that's the primary difference.
Okay, and I guess the funding is probably where, it would be a clear change to see, more funding is being spent for safety infrastructure or something would be an easy headline or metric to see. Is it that new funding is available that was going unspent, new funding is available that we were having difficulty deploying due to just the organizational structure, or did we actually find new funding, or just funding just going to be spent differently? Like why is it that new projects are coming out? Is it the new tell me what that is that's better now.
The best way for me to put it, I've been here for 33 years. When I first started in public works was about 20 years ago, and we had a paving budget of about $3 million. Since that point in time, our paving budget has increased to almost $20 million annually, $15 million that we receive from the city and another $5 million that we receive from the Department of Public Utilities. So with that, what council did not see was the increase in terms of engineering that had to go behind that. Also, the increase in terms of inspectors. They had to also go and come along with that level of funding. In addition to that, the coordination efforts between right-of-way management, et cetera, had to also go in place just for that $20 million to be spent efficiently on an annual basis. So we pretty much don't leave any dollars on the table now with regards to paving. So when you look at things from a transportation engineering perspective, when we're receiving a $30 million grant for this project, a $40 million grant for the upgrade of a street, those are two separate areas of responsibility with regards to transportation and with regards to right-of-way improvements. So with regards to transportation, we can take those funds and focus on those areas with regards to transportation planning and transportation upgrade and not just right-of-way improvements. So right-of-way improvements would be a streetscape project like what we did on Broad Street with regards to making the existing sidewalks that was there brand new. We also put in planters. We also put in benches, and we made things beautiful with regards to trees. What we're doing from a transportation network standpoint is we're changing and modifying the signalization timing, giving pedestrians lead pedestrian time. We're putting in crosswalks where crosswalks aren't located now. We're also taking a look at installing more four-way stops to coincide with speed tables in order to get the drivers to be able to stop more frequently in our neighborhoods and to give pedestrians the right of way. So it gives us the opportunity to focus more on just transportation and not just on right-of-way improvements while we still take care of all of them simultaneously.
Now, I noticed a relationship with PDR highlighted here for alignment and coordination.
Yes, sir.
I love this to see that because coordinating across departments to make sure that our investments are in line with our master plan, to make sure that we're investing in places that will bring in tax revenue to fund everything we need to do. Are we also imagining a situation where we would even find like TIF financing or work with the EDA to expand our base of funding even more for targeted strategic growth, in line with our master plan?
I would love that, but one thing that I do have to keep in mind is that TIF funding and things of that nature typically go through council. So what's at the hands of our engineers and our planners is to continue to apply for various grant funds that are available at the state and federal level. And so far, we've been quite successful at doing that.
Okay, and so I just want to reiterate what I think I heard is that we are going to see, we should expect to see a much more rapid deployment of LQC projects. Like
Yes.
we're gonna 6 months from now look back and be like, wow, it really happened. Like there's all these projects that are out there now. Is that what I should expect?
You should definitely expect that. I think we currently have 5 out there now, particularly around Mosby Middle School. I'm sorry, Martin Luther King Middle School, as well as the intersection of the intersection of Laburnum and Hermitage, as well as Midlothian Turnpike in front of the old George Wythe High School. So more projects like that in a smaller scale and on a larger scale can wind up taking place ahead of our long-term engineering CIP projects that may not be funded at this point in time. So things to extend sidewalks, things to put in additional bike lanes that can be protected through visual buffers and not always through buffers that may be infrastructure in nature, but physical and mental buffers can also help with regards to bicyclists as well as pedestrians. So those are some of the things that we're also looking at doing as well.
All right. Thank you.
Hey, Mr. Benson, where you been? Haven't seen you in a while.
I've seen you. Good to see you.
Good seeing you as well. Question, from 3 million to 20 million, is that all CIP funds?
No, ma'am. The way that we increased the budget from 3 million up to $10 million. And then we get $5 million from the CVTA. And then we get another $5 million from the Department of Public Utilities on an annual basis with regards to paving curb to curb instead of those 3-foot wide scars going through the city. So we did increase the amount of GO bond funding for paving. But we did not take the whole 15 million from the GO bonds once the CVTA came into place.
So tell me more about CVTA funds. Those are,
CVTA is basically the dollars that we receive from the state because they increased the gas tax. And the city of Richmond, we receive approximately 16 to 18 million dollars annually with regards to CVTA local. And then we have to apply for CVTA regional dollars in order to do projects that have an impact on the region itself. So that's another bag of projects that we can receive funding for.
and so the CVTA funds you're getting on an annual basis,
That's about 16 to 18 million.
16 to 18 million?
Yes, ma'am. And that's how we were able to increase the amount of sidewalk work that we've been doing, as well as increase in paving.
Right. So the total increase in the budget to $20 million, are you saying that 15 of that is coming from CVTA and 5 from DPU?
5 from CBTA, 10 from GO bonds, and 5 from DPU.
Okay. So the total 16, 18 is not,
The 16 to
I'm
18
confused. You
is,
said
I'm sorry,
16,
the 16 to 18 is CBTA funds that we receive from the state. That's CBTA local dollars.
right?
So all of those local dollars do not equate to going strictly to paving.
But we're receiving, locally, we're receiving that amount
Yes, ma'am.
each year.
Yes, ma'am.
But we don't have a breakdown of what that total budget is being used for.
We do have a breakdown for that total
Okay.
budget.
All right, so we probably need to look at it because it's still coming through Department of Public Works.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, so let's get some more data on that.
Okay.
Are we making any application for the regional funding as well? And
Yes, ma'am.
do we have a schedule of activities or projects that we're considering for that?
Yes, ma'am. So far,
Can you
we've been, So far, we've received about $105 million in
Mhm.
CVTA regional projects.
Okay, and if we can get a report on that, that would be helpful as
Listing of
well.
the type of projects, yes, ma'am.
Okay. So on an annual basis from city itself, we are looking at an increase through geo bonds of 10 million.
Not an increase. That's been the standard for the past several years.
Okay, you started off with 3.
Correct. That was back in 2007 or 8.
So when did we increase? How long have we been doing an increase of?
Mayor Stoney's second term. I'm sorry, second year in his first term.
So that's, I don't know, what year is that?
Yeah.
17?
Dating myself now. That was about 2017-ish.
Okay, so what you're saying since 17, 18, whatever, out of this geo bonds, we've increased from 3 to 10. And
Yes,
this
ma'am.
consistent 10 each year.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And in the beginning, not to confuse you further, but in the beginning, the first couple of years of that was actually $15 million that we did in geo bonds. But then once the CBTA kicked on board, that saved us $5 million in CBTA
we
geo
backed-
bonds because we
backed
took
off.
5 exactly.
So previously, we had had some discussions as it relates to infrastructure, because you guys still do all of this sidewalk, drainage infrastructure, and all of those kinds of projects for the city.
Yes, ma'am.
And so we had talked previously about how to look at a way to align our capital improvement projects with areas that we are putting in a significant increase in the number of affordable housing in locations that don't have sidewalks and don't have good drainage, doesn't have a lot of those challenges. And of course, we've got the old Belmead community that I've been serving on city council for 20 years, that we managed to get maybe a half a block of sidewalks in the annex area that still is tremendously lacking the kind of infrastructure that is needed. But when we look at a lot of the state funding that Mr. Kyer does with federal dollars and so forth, many of those big projects are not necessarily taking care of city neighborhood infrastructure.
That's correct.
How do we get to that place where, neighborhoods like in Southside, and I'm going to speak to Belmead specifically, Belmead, Oak Grove, where we've annexation promised a lot of sidewalks and so forth, and even beyond those neighborhoods on South Side, that the annex community, just the annex area. How do we get to the place of prioritizing the need for those? When I look at the volume of federal dollars that we've spent in the East End and the improvements in the fourth phase, which is great. I mean, there's great work that's being done there. That's an old city neighborhood that's been around long before annexation.
Yes, ma'am.
But annexation still doesn't seem to be getting the level of investment that is needed. How do we reshape some of that prioritizing?
That's a very good question, and it's something that we've been challenging our engineers and our planning teams to do over the past several decades, particularly since I've been involved in it from a utility standpoint and from a public works standpoint. The answer is it's not easy at all. It's almost like putting a basement on a house that's already built. And when you're trying to do that, it's much more expensive to have that basement. So you have to ask yourself, if I currently have a 2,000 square foot home and I want a 500 square foot basement, is it worth it for me to spend $80,000 to put in this new basement to add 500,000 square feet? So it's a very difficult thing to talk to our citizens about with regards to, do we put in $100,000 worth of sidewalks on a street that has a dead end, that has about 10 people walking down it every day and 50 cars driving? Or do we make the investment on streets where we know we're going to have 500 people walking every day and 10,000 vehicles driving? So what we've done is tried to do a little bit of both. in terms of neighborhoods where we can put in sidewalks that don't require the underground drainage. Because in streets that don't require underground drainage, meaning we don't have to put in pipes, we don't have to have those pipes connect to an outfall, we don't have to put in drop inlets, but we can just wind up putting the sidewalk back up on property that we can obtain or purchase from the property owner. At that point in time, it's about $50,000 per block versus $100,000 per block. And so that's pretty much the difference there. And so neighborhoods that was built and constructed with the infrastructure to take care of sidewalks, basically looking at old Richmond, basically blowing up from Shackle Bottom, like a bomb going outwards into Manchester, into Highland Park, and into downtown, it's easier to be able to make that transition than it would be for a neighborhood such as off of Cherokee Road, or a neighborhood off of in South Garden or Sour Garden or somewhere in that neighborhood where we don't have that type of an infrastructure, because the old infrastructure was built and constructed just like the counties are today, where they don't have sidewalks. So when you look at Chesterfield County, who has about 200 miles of sidewalks, but they have twice as many lane miles as we have, or you look at Henrico County, who has about 50% more lane miles than we have, but they only have 250 miles of sidewalk, is because their infrastructure wasn't built with it. So with a lot of our new neighborhoods that we're now constructing, we are constructing those neighborhoods to have that sidewalk. When you look at the modifications to warehouses in Scott's Addition as well as in Manchester, we're forcing them to build out right away in accordance with what they're constructing on private property. And that's another way that we're going about making certain that our citizens have what's true and fair to them. But with regards to those neighborhoods, we're doing our best to make certain that we give them as bright a street light as possible in those neighborhoods that wasn't originally constructed with that infrastructure. And also, we're trying to pave them and put in speed tables in order to do our fair share of work within the public right of way.
Yeah, we've been dealing with this we've been dealing with this together. It's a disservice to the old residents that have been in the city forever, that don't feel like they're getting what they need. But the one question that was asked earlier, it would be more acceptable to look at the reorganization as an office or division or whatever instead of a department, because council is the only entity that has the authority to create departments. This is a big issue. It came up during the campaign for the city to create a new transportation department. And until council actually do that, for the benefit of this presentation and others, if we could rename or acknowledge it in a way that it doesn't suggest that we have created a new department outside of council approval.
Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Vincent. We could talk to you all afternoon about this, because seriously, it is huge and it is a lot. And then we do need to get creative, specifically around Southside, and really thinking about what we can do and what we can't do. And I'd like to I'll send you an email, but I'd like to hear you name the lighter, quicker, cheaper, and you name them near schools. So I'd like to know, moving forward, what and how are we going to select what projects relative to lighter, cheaper, quicker, like how are we prioritizing them? But I'll email you that for that information, because I want to give Maggie Walker the opportunity to present. So thank you very much. Thank you for all the information, and we appreciate it. And we'll be looking forward to getting a second presentation after you get everything up and running.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
thank you. Well, thank you again, Mr. Bono. Okay. All right. So Maggie Walker Land Trust, Community Land Trust.
Thank you so much, Council Chair Nicole Jones and Councilwoman Robertson and Breton. My name is Dylan Wheeler. I'm the Director of Real Estate and Operations for Maggie Walker Community Land Trust. Left, right, okay, thank you. So I just wanted to do a quick kind of presentation. I'll try and be as, I know we're running out of time, but our organization started about 10 years ago. We based our organization off of Maggie Walker, who I don't need to say too much about, but we do have a statue here. She does have a home in Richmond, and she was a very instrumental person in our community. And then I'm not sure does this play, Ms. Muhammad? Is that something that does? If not, I can just pass on. Okay. So there's a little video, and I can email it to you guys if you want later to watch just about the history.
We have it. We have
Oh,
it.
okay.
Mhm.
The history of Maggie Walker. So what a CLT is it's a split ownership of land and structure. We're an affordable home ownership developer in the city. And so the structure of the CLT is that the homeowner owns the structure of the house, and the land is owned there's a ground lease attached to the land. It's a 99-year ground lease. They pay $100 a year to lease that property. So we subsidize those homes and sell them at a lower rate. This is the history of community land trusts. There are, it's based off of the first, and this is also documented, it's on YouTube. It's an organization that's called New Communities, Inc. It started in the 60s. It's really kind of mainly prevalent because it's a way to show that there's a lot of gentrification that's happening, and this organization kind of wanted to stop that in South Carolina. So that's kind of what we, as our organization, is trying to base what that is on and what our community is doing. So this is another video as well. So the permanent affordability is that initially a homeowner buys a home, and there is different processes with our, we have a resale process. So if the homeowner needs to sell their home, they have to come back to us to resell their home, and it goes into another affordable home. So we sell, for instance, it costs roughly $300,000 to build a home. In the current market with land and everything, we subsidize that down, and we sell our homes for roughly $190,000 for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath in the city of Richmond. So there's over 120 homes that we've built in the city of Richmond. We roughly average sales price is $175,000. That's actually 120 in Henrico, Richmond, and Chesterfield. There's other development partners that we work with. We work with a whole bunch of different partners all around the city. H.H. Hunt, YWCA, we were working on a project, doing a very cool project that's out in Henrico. And Eagle Construction is one of our builders, and so on and so forth. We have received land from you all, and we've also had lots of scattered sites all over the county and the region. Parkside Towns is a development that we're doing out in Henrico. The Airport Road is a Henrico project. Ettrick Landing is our first subdivision we finished just this year. There was 10 homes there. That was a $3.5 million project for 10 homes. And this is our total pipeline of all the work that we are doing all around. We're roughly estimating to be building 200 affordable homes in the next 2 years. Yeah, as you can see on the slides. And I just wanted to present that to you all as council and see if you guys have any questions. The other thing I wanted to bring up was that we are also allocated the Richmond Land Bank. So in previous years, we have received land that is vacant and derelict from the city of Richmond that we've allocated to use for affordable housing. So that is, the CAP meetings haven't been present since COVID kind of happened. So as part of my goal is to try and reestablish that at some point.
Thank you very much. And thank you for the presentation. I had a quick question. I'm sure my colleagues have some questions. The ones that say infill surrounding areas around Richmond, 40 units mixed use, where are those, or are those already built?
This is for our pipeline for future stuff. So we have some land that was given to us through the land bank that's in the Gilpin Court area. There's and been working with the board of directors to kind of decide what we're doing with those. It's right next to the museum that was put in by RVA. It's the Jackson Ward Museum that's right on.
Oh, okay, next
Yeah.
to the,
Yeah, we gave some of the
Skipwood-
land
Skipwood
to
Grove
that.
Up.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Then where it says other developers surrounding Richmond, what is that you all working with other developers or?
We have some other potential developers that are in, we're working with Enterprise Partnership. They have some projects that they're asking to see if we are interested in Hanover potentially. We have also had Hopewell has reached out to us to work with them. So there's other counties and localities and cities who are interested in working with us. But I know we started here and we want to help Richmond in what we're doing, so.
Yeah, it sound like y'all done went regional on us.
Yeah. It's we are the first CLT and land bank in the country. There's over 300 community land trusts in the country. So this is not like a new kind of model. And there's over 300 land banks in the country as well, but we're one of the first to be both. So there's some kind of benefits to us being a land bank and also the community land trust model.
I would like to ask some questions. So actually, can you explain what types of support you get from the city of Richmond? Do you get free land? Do you get grants? Do you get Affordable Housing Trust Fund money? What types of support does the city give to you?
So we do apply for grants through the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. We also do get, we do work with the Department of Community Revitalization or department to get, we haven't applied for any CDBG. Sometimes we get CDBG or home funds, but we haven't in the past few years. And so that's kind of right now where we're at, but we have in the past received land through the land bank. And that's, the biggest aspect. I don't think our staff has ever presented to the land use committee in the 10 years, but I wasn't sure. So that's why I wanted to come and present.
And so, I mean, I think I love the model because it takes property out of the speculative for-profit market, right? And I think that the more that we can do that, the more that we can, create affordability without having to rely on subsidy. But I want to make sure I understand the benefits. So the fact that somebody owns it, but then they have to sell it back and under some controlled criteria, do they make some type of equity profit through this activity? And how much, and how does that compare to just paying rent, and
Yeah, no, that's a great question. Yeah, so it's a good way to kind of be a step into being home ownership. They get a percentage of their equity. Right now, our model is I think it's a 3% per year that they live in their home. So the longer you live in your home, the more affordability it is.
And what about what investments that are required, such as maintenance or other types of renovations? Does that, if someone has to do something like that, who ends up having to pay for that in the end when they sell the house at the end?
So the homeowner gets to decide if they want to, it's their home. They can, we have a stewardship that we do. So we have somebody who's on staff who comes out and talks to our homeowners, make sure that they're doing okay with, being a first-time homeowner. If they have maintenance issues or anything, that's all the responsibility of the homeowner. If they want to make additions on their property or put an ADU, they have to go to the board for approval. So there's certain things that if there's a permit required, they need to ask the CLT if it's okay for approval. So it's just kind of a way to make sure that, but we check in on our homeowners to just make sure that everything's going all right with them.
So if they have to make a large investment in their home where they choose to, they still are maxed out at 3% per year on what they can sell it for on the other end.
No, I apologize. So no, if they do make an investment on their property, we do consider that in the sale of their property to the resale. So if somebody does, all the homes are roughly sold at 80% AMI or lower, but we are selling some at 115% AMI or lower. So for area median income of this area was roughly 110,000 for a single person.
All right. And anything you want to suggest that the city can do to help increase your pipeline and maximize your support?
At this moment, no, I think money is probably the only biggest thing we are yeah, just wanted to present, and at this time, yeah, nothing further at this moment.
Yeah, I do, but let me circle back with you because I'm really am concerned about the inventory that you have in your pipeline that you've had for quite some time in certain in the city, that we don't have a schedule of activities as to when they're going to be developed. You got lots in Blackwell, you got
Yeah, I don't think we own any lots in
the
Blackwell.
Housing Authority.
Yeah,
We're interested in knowing more about what you're doing in RICO with the home ownership initiative and the dedicated source of revenues that you're getting for that, and the relationship as it relates to whether the land and so forth. And I also wanted to talk with you guys. There's been some interest in, this is more a strategic conversation that I need to have with you and the
Mhm.
director and the board, as relates to taxation of the property versus the the land, and as much that the land is never owned by the new tenant or the person who purchased the home. Um, so I would really appreciate you reaching back to me and let's get on the schedule so I can come and have a meeting with you and with the board and have some more strategic conversation.
that sounds great,
Appreciate
Mr.
it.
Robinson.
Thank you so much for your presentation, and we will definitely circle back just to get a little bit more information on some of the things you did mention and want to continue the conversation. And I appreciate you taking the initiative to reach out and say, hey, I want to come present, because we want to be inclusive and part of this conversation as well. So thank you very much, and we look forward to continuing the partnership with you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Councilman.
All right, staff report, anything?
Yes, you have the staff report that was sent to you. And in addition to that, we asked that the members of the committee take a look at the presentation schedule that was given a copy to you and see if that basically works with you all in the next several months.
All righty, well, if there is no further business, this meeting is adjourned.